It's 7:01. I'm going to call the regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen to order. Four selectmen are present. We're still waiting on Selectman D'Souza, but Selectman Baker, Selectman Nordell, and Selectman Muska are here. Our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to ask Sarah to please lead us in that.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Meeting minutes. In your packet, you should have copies of the October 15th meeting. So everybody had a chance to review those? Yep.
Sarah Muska, Selectman, I'll move to approve the meeting minutes of the regular meeting held on October 15th, 2020.
Is there a second?
Selectman Nordell will second that.
Are there any discussion? Is there any discussion or correction? Seeing none. Selectman Baker.
Aye.
Selectman Nordell.
Aye.
Selectman Muska.
Aye.
All right. Our next item is public participation. This is one of two opportunities for the public to address the members of the board. Are there any members of the public who would like to address the board? All right, we'll have another opportunity to do so later in the evening. I don't have any communications at this point. So let's move on to resignations.
Can I do these as a group?
Yep, that's fine.
Make a motion to accept the resignations with regret of Rand Stanley for hearing officer of towing and impounding vehicles, Richard Sullivan, Planning and Zoning Commission regular member, Richard Sullivan, American Heritage River Commission regular member, Susan Sullivan, American Heritage River Commission regular member.
Selectman Nordell will second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion?
It's a shame that
Maurice
we're
just joining us.
losing the Sullivans. They've been really very integral members of the committees that they've been on, as well as fun people to have around. So wish them luck in the future.
Yeah, they have assured us that they'll be back. So we look forward to that. Any other comments or no? Selectman Baker.
Aye.
Selectman Nordell.
Aye.
Selectman Muska.
Aye.
Marie, the question on it is on accepting the resignations of the folks listed under 7A. Are you in favor? Marie? You're muted.
That's Rand Stanley and the two Sullivans?
That's right.
Yeah, I'm in favor, with regret.
Motion carries unanimously. Reappointments. We just have the one.
Make a
Somebody like
motion.
to make a motion?
Make a motion to accept the reappointment of Michael Saka, Inland Wetland and Water Course Agency alternate member for a term expiring December 1, 2024.
Is there a second?
Marie D'Souza will second that.
So just as a point of I guess, clarification for me. Alan, do you know how long Michael's been on there?
For a long, long time, since I can remember. And every stint that I've done on wetlands, he's been there. He's been there quite a long time. And he used to be a full member, and he recently went to alternate, but he's still coming to all the meetings.
So that commission has been blessed with longevity. Actually, so is planning and zoning, but it's worth noting how fortunate we've been to have people serve as long as some of those folks have. The institutional knowledge is just awesome.
Yeah.
If there are no other discussion, the question is on reappointment. Selectman Baker.
Aye.
Selectman Nordell.
Aye.
Selectman Muska.
Aye.
Selectman D'Souza.
Aye.
Okay. Next one is the appointment of Ray Mancuso to the Police Commission for a term expiring November 16th, 2021. This is to fill the seat that was vacated with the passing of Betsy Burns. This comes at the recommendation of both the police chief and the deputy chief, and Ray has graciously agreed to step forward. I think most people are familiar with him, but I would ask for a motion.
Sarah Muska, Selectman. I'll move to appoint Raymond Mancuso to the Police Commission as a regular member for a term expiring November 16th, 2021.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Sarah, seconded by Alan. Any discussion? I'd just say it's great to have Ray stepping forward again. He's been an asset to this commission in the past, and I know they're excited to have him back. Selectman Baker.
Aye.
Selectman Nordell.
Aye.
Selectman Muska.
Aye.
Selectman D'Souza.
Aye.
Okay. So Ann Gobin is interested in stepping up from the Planning and Zoning Commission as an alternate member to a full member to assume the seat vacated by Dick Sullivan. She is a seated alternate on the Planning and Zoning Commission, so if appointed tonight, before being sworn in, she'll resign from that position. So we'll be looking for an alternate. But Ann comes to us with an extensive professional background at the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, and has been an alternate member for a number of years. Those of you who have attended Planning and Zoning Commission meetings are almost certainly familiar with her. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to accept the appointment of Ann Gobin to the Planning and Zoning Commission regular member for a term expiring October 1, 2023.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further comment?
I thought it was interesting when I was reading through the letter she put with her application. I didn't realize that she's been chair, vice chair, and member in prior years. Back in the late 80s, early 90s, she was on the board. So it shows the amount of experience and knowledge she has. She's a great asset to that board.
Well, not only that, she has state commissioners as references. I mean, that's some cred.
Yeah, we're lucky. We're getting a lot of people with a lot of background that's very helpful on those boards.
Very true. Any other comments? Selectman Baker.
Aye.
Selectman Nordell.
Aye.
Selectman Muska.
Aye.
Selectman D'Souza.
Aye.
Okay. There is no application in this case. This is an appointment. The statute says that it's my appointment to make, but I wanted to bring it to the board for their acquiescence and certainly feedback if there is any. Rand just submitted a letter saying he was not interested in staying on in this role. And I asked Len if he'd be willing to do it, and he said that he would. In the time I've been in office, it's a role that has not been used at all, but we're supposed to have it according to the statute. So Len's agreed to fill that role. So I would ask for a motion to appoint him if there is an intent there.
I'll move, Selectman Nordell, I'll move to appoint Lenny Norton to hearing officer of towing and impounding vehicles.
Is there a second? Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Selectman Baker,
Aye.
Selectman Nordell,
Aye.
Selectman Muska,
Aye.
Selectman D'Souza.
Aye.
So that brings us to update on the South Road ownership. So as you know, we've submitted a request to the Department of Housing for their consideration to allow us to lift the restrictions on that property, subdivide it, and sell it to the residents that live there. This has been a pervasive issue for a very, very long time, and Senator Anwar was able to help us find a pathway to remedy it. That request to the Commissioner of Housing has been submitted, and she has forwarded it onto the Bond Commission. So the next step in that process is for the Bond Commission to approve the recommendation of the Commissioner. I'm hopeful that will happen. The only question mark around that at this point is when the Bond Commission will meet again. The original thought was that they would meet in the last week of October or the first week in November. That has now shifted a little bit to either before or after Thanksgiving. It would be really great if they would take action on that while Representative Davis is still a sitting member of the Bond Commission. Senator Anwar has sent a letter on to the governor asking for his consideration. And I understand that the property owners are interested in doing the same. I've started to draft one as well, and I'll share that with you under communications once it's drafted. I'm about halfway through with it. So that's the latest on that. Again, that just allows us to get to the starting line in the process. But once we get to the starting line, then we can start figuring out the A2 surveys and submitting a request for subdivision through planning and zoning, and doing the things that we need to do once we have permission to do them. So that's it on South Road. Is there any questions on that?
I'm just curious, why is it the Bond Commission that has a say over this?
It's because the restrictions that are in place were put in place by the state way back when the low income restriction was put in there. So it's that same statute, which I think is 8-214D subsection E. Go ahead and check me on that. But that statute paves the pathway for us to do this by going through the Bond Commission. And when you read the statute, it sounds awfully intimidating because you need to get permission from the Department of Housing. You need to get permission from OPM. You need to get permission from the governor. You need to get permission by the Bond Commission. Until you actually drill down and you realize that that's really only 2 steps, not 4, because OPM, the Bond Commission, and the governor are all 1 step. So that's the remedy that was identified for us by the department. So that's the remedy that we're pursuing to try and resolve the circumstance of the town being forced to be a landlord. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Next on the agenda is an update and a presentation from Gravel Pit Solar. Aaron Svedlow is I'm going to call him the president of Northlight Energy, and if I got that title wrong, I'm sure Aaron will correct me. This is the project that's going to be going in on the Charbonneau pit all the way to the southern border of town. And they gave a little bit of an overview last night to the Wetlands Commission. I'm sure it'll be a little bit different tonight because our jurisdictions are a little bit different, but certainly we're interested in supporting this process as it moves along. Mr. Svedlow, always nice to see you, sir. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Count. Appreciate it. Thank you guys for the opportunity to give you an update tonight. Could I try to share my screen again, Mr. Bowser?
Yeah, you should be good.
Okay, excellent. All right, are folks seeing this?
Yep.
Excellent, okay. So I just have a few brief slides. Really, I was thinking that this would be more of a dialogue and kind of a discussion with the Board of Selectmen tonight. I'll go through these quickly, and then at the end we can chat. Just as a refresher, I know everybody's familiar with this project, but not a lot has changed since we talked this summer about the layout in general, but a lot has happened in terms of progress with the project. And it's been really overwhelmingly positive to date. The project is still 120 megawatts. We're utilizing about 485 acres. Again, permanent closure of the sand and gravel pits. Everybody's aware of the economic benefits to the town. So I'll direct your attention to this site plan on the left side of the slide here. And just want you to notice that, we are avoiding impacts still to all the sensitive natural resources. There's one small wetland that we'll be putting arrays over. We will be occupying all of the Charbonneau pit, all of the Northern Capitol pit, and the majority of the fields north and south of Plantation Road. You'll also notice that there is a dashed line between the northern and southern portions of the project and a purple corridor. The purple corridor is the railroad, and the dashed line is an alignment for our horizontal directional drill. We'll be connecting the two projects electrically through that corridor underneath the railroad. There's actually a pipeline there as well, and Catch Brook, but there will be no roads or bridges going in that area. So that is just a quick refresher on the project. I think as folks are generally aware, we have submitted the project to the Connecticut Siting Council. We received feedback from the town over the summer, very prompt feedback. We appreciated that very much so. We took that feedback, we updated a few items in the site plan and plans for the project, and then moved forward with submitting the project to the Connecticut Siting Council. The Connecticut Siting Council deemed our application complete. They issued a set of interrogatories, questions to the project. We've answered those questions, and then next week we'll have our evidentiary hearing followed by a public hearing in the evening. Concurrent with the Siting Council process, we've been working with the Connecticut State Historic Preservation Office as well as Connecticut Deep's Wildlife Division. Those conversations are ongoing, but they're trending very positive. The SHPO conversation has been largely around the barns on the Markowski property around Plantation Road. And the deep wildlife conversation has just been about refining some of our avoidance and mitigation efforts for some sensitive wildlife and habitat areas that largely surround the project, but won't be directly impacted by the project itself. And lastly, we've been working closely with Connecticut Deep Stormwater Division to file our stormwater application. The folks at Deep have been out at the site. They've walked the entire site. They've looked at some of our preliminary plans for stormwater controls. We'll actually be doing something a little bit unique here. We'll be using some natural features on the properties to handle some of our stormwater. And the reason why we're doing this is sort of twofold. A lot of the natural topography, especially on the southern fields, is conducive for handling stormwater. So the water running off the properties now infiltrates fairly quickly. There are some natural depressions that are dry that allow stormwater to sort of settle in and infiltrate. And we'll be doing some improvements to those. And this allows us to minimize the amount of impact we have. So there'll be much less earth movement and grading associated with the project because we'll be using these natural features. And Deep has been very receptive to that approach to date. The other thing that we're going to be doing, and I'll talk a little bit about this when we get to the schedule, is we're going to be seeding the property. And what I mean by that is we're going to be planting warm and cool season grasses on the property, likely next fall, so that when we get on the project site in spring of 2022, we have an established vegetation throughout the site, and we can install the piles and panels on top of that vegetation. This way, we're not trying to seed after the panels are up. So that's a general overview of where we're at with permitting. I don't know, I've got John Gravel and Aileen Kenny on the phone. I don't know if you guys would like to add anything to that before I get into the schedule discussion here.
I have nothing to add, Aaron. Thanks.
Okay.
Nothing to add.
So looking forward, here's just kind of an overview of our schedule. We expect the Siting Council to approve our certificate as early as January 27th. It could be a little bit later than that, but that's our expectation based on the schedule that's been laid out. And then we would start civil construction sometime in the summer of next year. What I mean by civil construction, we would grade out the gravel mines. We would install the project access roads. For the most part, the project access roads will be compacted native soils, but we'll be putting in the entrances and grading out those areas that do need to be graded for some of the stormwater basins that aren't in the natural depressions. And then, as I stated earlier, we'll be seeding the site at that time as well. And then we're going to let the site sort of rest over the late fall and winter. And then in spring of 22 rather, our array construction will start. So late winter, early spring of 22, we'll start installing the facility with a target for completion at the end of 2022. During that 2022 late spring, summer period, that is when the town will experience the most traffic from the project, with trucks delivering panels, with workers there. But it'll be a condensed period of increased traffic and activity. And then once the project site is largely installed, you'll see traffic drop off dramatically. And then once it's operational, there's very limited traffic long term. So I will pause there and just see if there's any questions.
Well, so the first thing I'd like to say is just how much I appreciate you guys being willing to give us an update on where things stand. I know this is 2 nights in a row for you, and that the Planning and Zoning Commission is interested as well. This type of engagement with the town, even though we don't have a siting role, is certainly appreciated, and it's wonderful to be kind of kept in as part of the process. I look forward to joining you guys for the discussion next, I guess it's next Thursday. Is there any members of the board have any questions or comments for Aaron? Alan?
I just have the one, and I asked this last night. Just a reminder. I was hoping you could send us the link to the materials, at least to the planning's office, and they can filter out to the rest of us, or just email, whatever's easier.
He sent that to me last night. I can circulate that around.
Okay, great.
Any other questions or comments for Aaron? I do have one. Looking at that map there on the left-hand side of the screen, are there 2 different fencing arrays?
Yeah, there's actually multiple fenced areas. So let's go from north to south. I don't know. I don't think you guys can see my pointer. Is that correct?
Yeah, we can.
Oh, okay. So this array area will be 1 fence, And then we have to leave the Eversource right away. That's the transmission lines going through the middle of the project. We have to leave that unfenced. So then there'll be another fence south of that, which will encompass the switch yard and then this smaller array. And then the entirety of this property will be fenced as well. And then there'll be some strategic gates, and we're still figuring out exactly where these are going to go, Jason, that will be installed throughout the project, throughout the property to limit, and I'm going to switch slides, to limit what you're seeing right here in the bottom right-hand corner, which is that ATV traffic along the
Excellent.
established trails that are crossing Ketch Brook.
So that was exactly the point that I was getting to, is that ATV stuff seems to be even more pervasive than it has been in the past, just recently. And I know that there are neighbors along that track line that are really looking towards this project, hopefully as a way of mitigating some or most of that nuisance.
Yeah, that's our intention, and it's something that we're going to be monitoring closely after construction as well. So this, I think, will be, Jason, an ongoing conversation with the town where, you know, if we see that we need to install a gate here or there to help minimize, or we need an additional small stretch of fence somewhere, we're more than willing to do that. It's not going to be a situation where we just install this and, you know, that's it. I think it's an ongoing conversation to make sure that ATV traffic is being limited to the extent that we can on the properties that we control.
Yep, that's great. Any other questions or comments for Aaron? Whoa, okay. You guys are letting him off easy. We'll make him come back again.
Jason, I'm always happy to come back, and I appreciate, you know, everything the town's done. You guys have been great to work with, and you know, anything you need, additional updates, you know, if other committees, commissions would like updates, we're happy to do it.
Thank you, and we feel the same, and we're excited to welcome you to town. Okay. So this next thing, I put the agenda together before I knew what the outcome of the election was going to be. So I really wanted to just take a minute to review kind of where things stood in terms of the charter questions and the Broadbrook Fire Ordinance. By now, I'm sure everybody is aware that all 4 of those questions passed quite comfortably. But the margins on all of them were shockingly one-sided. And I think that's a really, yeah, Marie. You're still muted.
I'd like to pen this discussion, if you don't mind, until after I have an opportunity to talk to you in the morning in the registrars.
Oh, okay.
If you just want to say that the questions all passed, that's fine without any stats. That's one thing, but to get into the stats, that's another at this point.
I see. All of them passed.
Yes.
Yeah, we should have a conversation about that. I didn't realize those were still in flux.
Yes, I notified
Okay.
the town clerk this afternoon not to release any information until I had an opportunity to do some finish of checking information. And that's all I'm willing to put out there publicly at this point.
So I'm going to go ahead and edit my selectmen's report on the fly then.
Thank you.
All right, then let's table that discussion until the motion would be to postpone the discussion until our meeting on the 19th.
Thank you.
May I have a motion?
Make a motion to postpone the discussion until our next Board of Selectmen meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Selectman Baker.
Aye.
Selectman Muska.
Aye.
Selectman D'Souza.
Aye.
Selectman Nordell.
I'm sorry, my computer crashed. What are we postponing?
We're postponing discussion of the election recap. I was going to share some information that apparently is not yet final. So rather than put something out there that is inaccurate, we're going to just park it until we have final numbers. That's my mistake. I thought these were final. So we'll revisit this in 2 weeks.
Okay, I agree then.
Okay. The next thing, it's budget season. And this might feel a little bit earlier than last year, and it is a little bit earlier than last year, and that's because we were a little bit late last year. That had to do with all of us taking office and when the timing of that happened. But we need to put out a letter that's typically done jointly between the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance. And in order for us to have something out on time, we needed to talk about that today so that they could talk about that, whatever edits we have to it at their meeting on the 18th, and then we can accept those on at the meeting on the 19th. So budget season has begun. So what I did is I took last year's letter and I updated it with some points that I thought were important to consider. But obviously I shared it with you in your packet so that you guys could provide any feedback or suggestions that you want to see included. Any thoughts?
And so it begins.
I know. The long, long slog through the budget process.
And it's got some new items this year, mainly Broadbrook Fire.
Yeah, which we'll talk about next week or next meeting.
Okay.
Any thoughts on the letter? Any edits?
I think there was a couple edits to be made, but I didn't mark them. I'm not sure. Oh no, that was the other thing. Forget.
The other thing, yeah, that's for later.
With the letter.
Everybody's in agreement with it as drafted?
Yes.
Okay, then I'll transmit this to the Board of Finance and they can weigh in on the 18th. Our next item, okay, this is a request for a tax abatement from ACI Auto Group LLC. And I'm going to invite Peter Alberici to join the conversation, but I'll just give some context here. I clearly remember the previous Board of Selectmen meeting with Peter, talking about what his plans were, and indicating their willingness to offer a tax abatement to him. However, it does not appear we ever voted on it. There's nothing that anybody could find in any meeting minutes dating back 2.5 years. So Peter and I talked about it, and it was determined that the easiest way to go about rectifying that was to simply have him come and explain to the new board what his plans were and what he was hoping the town could do to support that. And then we'll discuss it in executive session and make a determination. So with that, Peter, the floor is yours. You're muted, sir.
How's that now?
Good.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Jason. I do remember coming before the board. It was probably in the end of 2018, early 2019. We've got a project that we've started at 206 South Main Street, where we're going to move ACI Auto Group from 187 South Main on the corner to the new facility. And what I'm hoping for is that through this tax incentive program, I think you have two separate programs, so to speak, one for projects under $2 million and one for projects over $3 million. We'd fall into that smaller category, which I believe is a 2 or 3 year tax concession at 50%. So that's what I'm hoping to achieve.
Can you tell us a bit about the project? What do you do at ACI? What are you going to do at the new place? What does this mean for jobs or tax base or footprint, that kind of stuff?
Sure. So it's sales and service. Currently, we're in a building that's about 3,500 square feet. It's owned by Southern Auto Auction. We employ 8 employees. The building that we're building is about 9,500 square feet. And we'll probably employ between 12 and 15 employees. The business itself is or will be the same as what we do now, just service and sales of used automobiles. And, you know, if you know us, I think you know that we specialize in trucks and Jeeps and lift kits and lights and things like that. So there's no change into what we do, what we'll be doing, just on a much bigger scale. Again, going from 3,500 square feet to about 9,500 square feet, and from 8 employees to 15.
And are you guys local?
Are we local?
Are your employees, do they live in town?
Oh, yeah. Yep. 2 of my employees live in East Windsor. One lives in Enfield. I've got one from Massachusetts, one from Suffield. So we're all, within 15 miles.
Questions or comments from you guys? Sarah, I saw Sarah, then Charlie.
Sarah Muska, Selectmen. You said you've started the project. When did you actually start? Just, do you have the date or the time frame?
When we broke ground on it,
Yes, please.
I'm going to say June of this year.
Okay, thank you.
Charlie.
Welcome, Peter. Selectman Nordell here. I love what you guys do. I'm a proud Jeep owner again now. I used to be for many, many years, and love the work you guys do down there. It's always quite impressive. Do you have any ideas? Do you guys have any ideas to what Southern Auto or Tribble has planned for the old building once you guys vacate?
I don't. It's not a discussion I've had with him about what he's going to do, just when we plan on being out of there. If you're asking for what my guess would be, I mean, it's suited for automotive. I think it would remain that way. But I've had no conversations with him, no.
Peter, was there another company there before you guys? Because I worked for a carpentry business and actually did some of the construction on your building. I put the roof on that building, some of the siding on that building, but that was a good 6-8 years ago. Have you guys been there that long?
I've been there almost 12 years. Yeah, 2008, 2009 is when I moved in.
Okay.
And prior to that, I think it was a silk screening shop or a print shop.
Yeah, the building we totally gutted and converted it and made it, I think, bigger in some side and all that too. So, okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Yep.
Peter, you sell Jeeps for retail?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Not just Jeeps, pickup trucks, SUVs, but we
But you're a
specialize in
retail,
that.
you're retail automotive.
Correct. Yes.
Anybody else with questions?
I don't have any questions.
Marie?
Not at this time.
Okay. So, Peter, we're gonna talk about this in executive session, and I'll let you know if the board needs any more information or anything after that.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. Much appreciated.
Have a good night.
You too. In the packet, you'll also see the correspondence from Peter to Maynard, former First Selectman Maynard in 2018. Okay, we also are at the point in time where we need to establish our 2021 meeting dates. I included in the packet the first and third Thursday of every month in the new year. I like the idea of meeting on Thursdays because in the event that we need town staff to join us, assuming we're in a non-COVID circumstance, we're not paying people 2.5 hours to sit around before the meeting even starts. You know, they can stretch their time just a little bit and be at the meeting because Thursday's the long day. Historically, the Board of Selectmen met on Tuesday evenings. That change was made, I think, 2 years ago, and it really does work better on Thursdays. That said, I wanted to make sure that this was still a night that was convenient for the members before we vote on those.
I have no issue.
I'd rather not change it.
Works well, I think.
Okay. Can I have a motion accepting the meeting dates as presented as our regular meeting dates for 2021?
Make a motion, we accept the presented meeting dates for 2021.
Is there a second?
Selectman Nord,
Motion made by Alan, seconded by Charlie.
Oh, I don't know about
Oh, didn't see it coming. All in favor, Selectman Baker,
Aye.
Selectman Muska,
that. Aye.
Selectman D'Souza,
Aye.
Selectman Nordell.
aye.
Okay. So this next item is something that I've worked on. This was a discussion point that came up when Fire Marshal Austin was interviewing for the role, and he helped me put this together. It's almost completely based on what is used in Warehouse Point. So there will be, if adopted in its current form, there would be consistency between the two fire districts. I don't know if you guys want to take this up this evening, or if we want to, in light of the discussion Maria asked to be tabled, if we want to hold this until the 19th. Thoughts?
Let's hold it to the 19th.
Okay.
Be a short meeting. Yes.
Yeah, well, wait till the executive session. Is there a motion to table, postpone?
Sarah Muska, Selectman, I'll move to postpone the discussion of the fire marshal fees ordinance till our next meeting on November 19th.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Selectman Baker,
Aye.
Selectman Muska,
Aye.
Selectman Nordell,
Aye.
Selectman D'Souza.
Aye.
Tax refunds. Is there a motion?
Almost there.
Or we just,
Anybody, I was just coming up to it because I was on. All right, I make a motion to accept the tax refunds in the amount of $8,497.10.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Selectman Baker.
Aye.
Selectman Muska.
Aye.
Selectman Nordell.
Aye.
Selectman D'Souza.
Aye.
Okay.
It looks like we have the second one, but I did not notice it was a separate page. For an amount.
I didn't notice that either. Good catch.
I'll make a motion to accept the additional tax refunds in the amount of $848.01.
Is there a
Sarah
second?
Muska, Selectman, I'll second.
Motion made by Alan, seconded by Sarah. All in favor, Selectman Baker.
Aye.
Selectman Muska.
Aye.
Selectman Nordell,
Aye.
Selectman D'Souza.
Aye.
So carried. Selectmen's reports. There are some things in here I will edit on the fly. First, I'd like to acknowledge that Election Day is behind us, and while the votes in the presidential election nationally are still being counted, I wanted to offer congratulations to Congressman John Larson, State Senator Saud Anwar, and Representative Carol Hall on their re-elections. I also wanted to congratulate Representative-elect Jamie Foster on her victory, becoming the newest member of East Windsor's delegation in the state legislature. Here in East Windsor, we had 6,900 people vote, either in person or by absentee ballot, which is, I think, a record for our community. I also want to acknowledge and thank Representative Davis for his decade of service to our community. He opted not to seek re-election this year in order to spend more time with his family, and our entire community extends its gratitude and best wishes to Chris as he starts his next chapter. Beyond the candidates for office, East Windsor voters also considered 3 amendments to the town charter and an ordinance to resolve the longstanding tax disparity between residents in different sections of town, all of which passed. Today, in some less good news, the Department of Public Health changed their classification of East Windsor to red, which means the COVID-19 numbers in our community have gotten to dangerous levels on a per 100,000 person basis. Governor Lamont has directed that the entire state revert to phase 2 of Connecticut's reopening effective tomorrow. That will mean that restaurants will reduce their capacity to 50% indoors with no more than 8 people per table, and will need to close by 9:30 p.m. except for takeout. Barbershops and hair salons will remain at 75% capacity. Event venues will be limited to 25 people per indoors and 50 people outdoors. And religious gatherings will be limited to 50% capacity and not more than 100 people maximum. In some positive news concerning COVID-19, the town has requested and has been approved for $81,000 in reimbursements from the state's Coronavirus Recovery Fund, reimbursing expenses incurred from the onset of the pandemic through the end of the last fiscal year. It's likely another round of reimbursements will be available for the period from July through December of this year. Our Department of Recreation and Community Services and the Five Corner Cupboard Food Pantry are in need of $25 gift cards to local grocery stores to go with their turkeys this year in lieu of the traditional Thanksgiving baskets. They need to collect them by November 16th. They're looking for 100 donations of $25 gift cards, although any donation is appreciated. We're also in the process of distributing East Windsor Children's wish lists to anyone interested in adopting a child for the Christmas season. If you're interested in either donating gift cards for Thanksgiving or adopting a child during the Christmas season, please call 860-623-2430 to sign up. The Board of Education continues to reintegrate students into the school district in an attempt to return to full in-classroom education. They're phasing in students every 2 weeks, with the final round of reintegration set for November 16th. In speaking with the superintendent today, I believe that is unchanged, even with the reversion to phase 2. On October 26th, the Diversity Council held its inaugural meeting. The council elected Anna Rivera as its chair and began discussing roles that the council may fill. They talked about doing a demographic analysis of the community, potential funding opportunities, and they reviewed their mission as established by our board. They'll be co-sponsoring a discussion on inherent bias with the East Windsor Police Department, the Board of Education, and the town later this year. They'll also be looking into a constituent request to consider renaming Plantation Road. On October 28th, I held a meeting of the town's emergency management team. The meeting, which had been scheduled weeks prior, was intended to brainstorm the town's response in the event that we saw a prolonged, widespread power outage in town during cold weather months and while the COVID pandemic was still a public health concern. As it happened, the day after the emergency management meeting, we had our first snowfall of the year, and although it didn't happen, initially power outages were expected, so we were all taking that drill very seriously. We also established a staff level committee to review options for the replacement of the town's emergency radio system, which is nearly twice as old as its useful life expectancy. I'm also pleased to share that the town has now installed permanent emergency generators at all town facilities, which ensures that the police department, the ambulance bay, and the Department of Community Services will all be able to remain operational during future power outages, as well as Town Hall, the Broadbrook Fire Department, and the Department of Public Works. Those are the things I have to share today. Selectman D'Souza.
I apologize due to the activity involving the election date in the last 2 days. I haven't been able to put anything together for this meeting tonight, so I apologize.
No problem. Sarah.
I'd just like to start by thanking and commending our registrars of voters, town clerk and her staff, and our amazing poll workers who so efficiently adapted to the challenges of COVID-19 and worked to enforce safe and secure voting conditions for all in-person voters on election day, as well as the processing of a large volume of absentee ballots. Also, thank you to all who exercised their right to vote, many waiting patiently in line to let their voices be heard. It was really refreshing to see such a great turnout. I was also pleased that all 4 ballot questions passed, especially question 4 to finally resolve the fire department taxation issue and equalize the cost of fire services for all taxpayers in town. On October 21st, the Board of Finance held their regular meeting. The board unanimously voted to support the Board of Selectmen's recommendation to make an additional appropriation for the dash cameras and body cameras and the dispatch consoles and software for the police department. In the October 28th Board of Education meeting, Superintendent Dr. Christine DeBarge announced that the Board of Education closed out their fiscal year 2020 budget with a surplus of $472,149, which is $5,000 under the 2% cap for their 2% fund. Dr. DeBarge is hoping that the Board of Finance will vote to put those funds in the Board of Education's 2% fund at their November meeting. 33% of East Windsor students are currently doing their learning online full-time. As of November 2nd, kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 5th, 6th, 9th, and 12th grades have all come back to school full-time. The Commissioner of Education has left it up to each district superintendent's discretion to use inclement weather days as remote learning days instead of snow days. It is Dr. DeBarge's plan to enact this in East Windsor. These days will count as a day of instruction and will not need to be made up at the end of the school year. I attended the Warehouse Point Fire Commissioners meeting on November 2nd. Most of the discussion revolved around the addition project that's going to be occurring at Station 1. The Board of Fire Commissioners unanimously approved to secure a performance bond to oversee the building project and adopted a policy and procedure for the clerk of the works for the Warehouse Point Fire District. The board then appointed Chief James Barton to this position. The building committee plans to meet bi-weekly once the project breaks ground. The project went before the Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Agency last night, where the application was received, and will go before the Zoning Board of Appeals on December 7th. There were 63 calls and 26 fire inspections were conducted in the month of October. And as Jason already said, Chief Barton informed the board about the town-wide radio committee and how that's been formed and how meetings have been scheduled. PAC 89 Boy Scouts and several Girl Scout troops will be conducting their annual Scouting for Food drive this Saturday. So make sure your bags are ready for pickup outside by 9 a.m. And that's what I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Alan.
Planning and zoning met and began hearing a site plan modification for the Silverman Group. As everybody is aware, originally that plan was approved in February of 2019 for the Sardilli Group, consisted of 2 buildings. Subsequently, it's been purchased by the Silverman Group, and they now are looking at a smaller building, 1 building and a different use. They're having a single tenant there as compared to the multiple tenants that may have been at the other place. and it's not going to be a refrigeration site. It is going to be basically a wholesale building materials tenant. So in the applicant during the process had mentioned with discussions with several town officials, they took into account some of the concerns that residents had in the area, and they have included in their site plan modifications making the berms higher. So I think they were at 4 feet originally, and they're looking to make them up to 8 feet high. They will have a double row of pines on them and a row of arborvitaes in another section to provide additional screening. They've also had this all wraps into having a smaller traffic footprint as well. And it looks like from the numbers that they had resubmitted that the amount of trips during the morning rush hour and the evening rush hour will be reduced by about 25%. That was some interesting information there. As far as wetlands is concerned, we met last night, saw basically the same presentation we saw tonight from the solar folks with a little bit more focus on the wetlands stuff. Also accepted, as Sarah mentioned, the application for the Warehouse Point Fire Department addition. And they did a as of right determination for a timber harvest on Winkler Road, which would probably not start until ground is frozen or during the drought time next year. That's all I have for you this week.
Selectman Nordell.
First, I'd like to thank the Brunswick Fire Department, the residents of East Windsor, this board in supporting a solution establishing fair taxation for all residents in town for fire services. It has been a long road with many failed attempts at different scenarios. I and the rest of this board campaigned and made it our goal to finalize a solution to this 4+ year problem, and I am proud of what we put forth and that the citizens supported this effort. On October 21st, I attended the Board of Finance meeting, which Sarah reported on. On October 26th, the Diversity Council held their first meeting, which I watched the recording of this meeting. Glad to see this council taking shape and getting started. October 27th, I also attended the Planning and Zoning meeting, which Alan reported on already. Beautification Committee did not meet on the 28th. On November 4th, I attended the Inland Wetlands meeting that Alan reported on as well. Upcoming events, Warehouse Point Library has many different stories being read online. You can see their website for more information and the schedule. The Connecticut Trolley Museum will hold Winterfest from November 27th to December 30th. New this year, they will be having a take a trolley to the Christmas tree lot where you can pick out the perfect white spruce. That's happening November 28th and 29th. You can see Facebook or their website for more information on this and other events. Parks and Recs held their drive-through trick-or-treat, which we hope Jason went to, and that's why he's in costume tonight. They also wrapped up their Scarecrow contest with the winner going to Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, done by the Broadbrook School C6 Resource Room. And that's all I have.
This is just my Thursday outfit, you know.
I really feel like you wore that helmet throughout the whole meeting. Really own it.
It's
That's
difficult to drive in, I'll tell you that. Public participation. This is the public's second opportunity to address the members of the Board of Selectmen. Are there any comments from members of the public? Seeing none, we'll have a brief executive session tonight. I'd ask for a motion to go in. Peg, I don't, if there are motions if there's a vote, you can grab it off the recording tomorrow.
It will just be the Board of Selectmen attending, Jason?
Yeah, nobody else.
Okay, thank you.
So can I have a motion to go into executive session?
Make a motion, we go into executive session.
Second.
Made and seconded. Any discussion? Selectman Baker. Selectman Muska,
Aye.
Selectman Nordell,
Aye.
Selectman D'Souza.
Aye.
All right, we are in executive session at 8:01.
Thank you.
Good, everyone.
It is 9:26. We're coming out of executive session. No further business to come before the Board of Selectmen. A motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll
Second.
second that.
Motion made by Alan, seconded by Marie. Selectman Baker,
Aye.
Selectman Muska,
Aye.
Selectman Nordell,
Aye.
Selectman D'Souza.
Aye.
All right, we are out. Good night, everybody.
Night.